Welcome everyone to today's Flex webinar. I'm your host, Marcus Merritt. Today we're going to talk about conflicts and availability and the tools within Flex to help you solve the conflicts that you may have for your planned projects. Okay, so for this first real quick, I'm just going to go to this example quote that I built ahead of time on this. At the moment on this, I do want to notice that I did on purpose that this is still an inquiry. Okay, and that is on purpose, and I will discuss that in just a minute. I mention that because it's important to know that officially an inquiry in the default workflow does not cause conflicts, but we see in here that it still is showing me all of these shortages on here. It's because if I'm on a project, it will always show that project shortages against any other project that is in a status that causes conflicts. Okay, but it won't be looking at other projects that are in an inquiry status that will not be causing conflicts. So it's under the idea, if I push this to confirmed, if I go forward with this, these are the shortages I'm going to have. Now, in this kind of example, we're going to sort of talk this out as if it's a real situation. I just opened up a new branch for my company in Las Vegas, and I didn't really have any gear over there yet. So I'm expecting to have these kind of things. And I just know that for a little while, until we start to build up some stock, I'm going to have problems to solve on every show. Okay. And so we see that I don't have any of this covered. Okay. Now, when we get to where we're ready to start to look at that in detail, we can then go to the options menu or the three-dot menu in front of any of the items, and we can pop up the conflicts to get some more information. Okay, in here we currently have 4 tabs of information. Okay, and I'm going to highlight kind of a few of those. This first tab is listed as our availability. Now that availability really is just referencing to the top of trying to tell you what's going on. Well, how much
you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, thank you. Hey, let's just start over since I'm not at all on the ball today.
Apologies, guys.
Yep. Thanks for mentioning that. Okay, let's go. I'm going to back up and just start over as if we are pretending. And thanks, everybody. Okay. All right. So welcome, everyone, to today's Flex webinar. I am your host, Marcus Merritt. Today, we will be talking about conflicts and availability. In this, we're going to talk about what tools are within Flex to show and display the conflicts that you might have, and then how to solve them. So let's go ahead and start by sharing my screen. Okay, now that we have that, we're going to look here first at this quote that I pre-made beforehand on this. I want to highlight first here that this quote is currently in an inquiry status, okay? But we see all of our negatives. Now, in the default system, an inquiry does not cause conflicts, does not reserve equipment. And I'm doing that on purpose because I want to highlight that when I'm on an inquiry quote, it's still going to display conflicts as if that project is going to be confirmed. So I have that idea, but it's looking at the rest of the system only on things that are in a status that cause conflicts, that reserve gear. So it's looking at itself plus those other projects, okay? That's that key thing, and I'm doing that on purpose to kind of show this. For this, we see then in this that I've got shortages on everything that I'm in here. Now in this, we're gonna have kind of a theoretical situation where I opened a new branch for my company. I don't have very much gear there. I'm in the process of moving or buying more equipment, and I need to, solve that. So I understand on all my shows, I'm going to have these kind of problems. Okay. So we have that ability when we're looking at this, whether it's an inquiry or something farther down, to look at those shortages and figure out what we can or can't do, what we need to do to solve this. Okay. So first, I just want to show when we see those negatives, we can go to the options menu or that three-dot menu, the column right before the conflicts, to pull up our options. And we have our conflicts menu within here. Okay. Within that, we have a few tabs of information, and I want to kind of quickly review some of these, and then we'll circle back for some more specifics. Okay. This availability tab is mostly as far as the name of availability. It's just this top part to try to remind us what's our availability situation. After that, the key is these are my main options of how to solve my shortage once I have the information. Now, one key thing in this that I always like to focus on is Flex works under a theory that we're trying to put as much good information in front of you to help you make the best decision. And no decisions are automatically made by the software, because there are times when something that might be a possible solution isn't an acceptable solution for the situation. You might choose to have a substitution, and you have put a substitution for a larger audio console from a smaller audio console, and just say sometimes we give the customer the upgrade for free. But in this case, maybe the smaller console is specific to they've got a small space for where the mixing is, and they can't fit a big audio console. So we don't want that to automatically make any decision. You need to make that decision based on the situation. Okay, so we're going to circle back to more of these specifics in just a minute. I want to go through some of these other tabs first. The next is our conflicts tab. This is where it's going to better show what's going on. Okay, now in this, it says I only see this one show. I'm going to circle back on one of the others in a minute, and you'll see the other event. But in this case, there isn't any other show that has it. In this item, our situation is relative to our next tab, the pending returns. When we go here, we see, oh, I've got one of these, but it's 8 days late. I haven't returned it. So I can reference back to this manifest and go talk to people and go, hey, have we just failed to do this, or did we lose it, or did they make some arrangement to rent it longer and we need to update this so it doesn't believe that it's late? Something there, but that's letting me know we have one scanned out and it has not been returned into the system. That's what my shortage is here. Okay. And then the fourth is this availability details, and it's just doing kind of a math of where things are now, where it's expecting them to change, what's going on, and help to double check kind of the math that's going on within that. Okay, I personally focus a lot on these first three, but this one absolutely can be valuable as well. Okay, so in here, and I'm going to back up and show a different one of these for this, just as another example. We're going to go to this K8 speaker. So in this, it's going to show basically the 4 most common things for some companies, other companies that will have less, that you might do to solve your problem. You are going to, if you have a separate location, you might transfer from that other location. That might be what you do to solve this. Okay, you might choose to subrent it from some other vendor to cover your shortage. Okay, you might substitute and choose to use some other item, or you might purchase it to get more gear. You know, those are basically the common things for this. Okay, so in this one, we see that there's that ability to transfer. And if we go to our conflicts, we see, oh, there's another show that's reserving some of that gear. So that is why that's saying 2 of 4, and I need 4. So that transfer isn't going to be a solution for me, because they have a thing that is taking 2 of the 4 they have in stock. So yes, I could transfer 2, but I can't transfer to solve my entire problem. And that's why we see that they say, yeah, they have 4 there, but only 2 of those are considered available. Okay, so that's that kind of thing. Now, one thing that I want to highlight on this, and we're going to back up to some of these, is that if we know ahead of time what are common solutions, we can program those in so that the system can give us more information than just, hey, do you want to make a sub rental? Do you want to make a purchase rental? You know, purchase PO. Okay. So for example, on our projector here, if I take this and open that item, we can say, okay, this is the one that's scanned out, but we can say, I know that when I bought this projector, I bought a 5K and I bought a 6K, and I'm okay to give this customer the free upgrade. And maybe I even, have looked and know that that one is currently available. But right now, I don't have that programmed into my item. If I go to my alternatives and my substitutions, they're blank. Now, the one I want to highlight on this why there's 2 tabs, the alternatives and substitutions. Okay, alternatives are things that are equivalent to each other, equal. Okay, that would just basically be a 5K Panasonic projector versus a 5K Barco projector or something. And so I have them separated, but really they're the same as each other and they could go either direction. And it just makes it, if I add that item here, then it will add it automatically, add this item to that item as well. So it's already taken care of. Substitution is thought of as an upgrade. It wouldn't go the other direction. I wouldn't replace my 6K with the 5K, but I'm okay to upgrade the customer and give them the brighter projector because it's better than having to rent or having to buy something. Okay. For this, just to note how to fill this in, you can either go browse your inventory, search your inventory, or you can even search within here. If I just wanted to go in here and say, oh, I know they got this 6K projector, we see that and go, yep, that's what I want to be as my substitution. It's a 1-for-1. So there I go. And now when I go back over to my shortages and I pull this up, not only does it list and it has that ability for me to just choose a substitution, I can now specifically choose that exact one because I've told it this is a common substitution. This is something I desire to be able to have. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want to highlight. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now it's going to ask this question of, do I want to keep the pricing of the original? And in this case, lots of cases, you may say yes. You may have a time where you quoted, you're building the quote and you see the shortage first and you go, oh, well, maybe I'll give them the upgrade and just charge them for the upgrade and they don't know any better. But in this, I'm going to say that I already had sent the quote to the client, so I need to keep the price. Okay. So we're going to say that there, and we'll see that that solved my issue, changed it to the 6K, but did not change my pricing. Okay, so we've got that one solved there. Then next, I want to talk about the powered speakers here. Now we talked again about that I have some of those at my other location, but I don't have enough to solve my shortage. So in this is an item I expect I'm going to use a lot. So I'm going to purchase it. Okay, I'm going to buy some more of these. And I happen to know my vendor has some in stock in enough time, even though this is supposed to go out the door tomorrow. So what I want to do is go open this item. And so if it's something for a supplier, we go to our suppliers tab here. Okay, the suppliers tab. Now on the suppliers tab, we're putting in the if I know who the vendor is. Now you can have multiple vendors. You can say, hey, I know I can rent it from this company or purchase it from this company, or I can rent it from company A, B, or C. You can have all of that in there. So in this, we're going to say that I'm going to add a purchase supplier. Note down here at the bottom that I could instead do a sub-rental supplier. Okay, purchase supplier here. And then I'm going to go ahead and search for the vendor. I'm going to just say this, that it's going to use, well, let's do it not as Chris himself, but as Flex Rental Solutions in that. So we say they're a purchase supplier on that. And I'm going to say estimated. They say they're going to charge me $600 to buy this. And I need a lead time of 1 day. Okay, so I can put that in there. Now, note again, I could put also a sub-rental supplier on this if I have someone for that. But I just want to, for the moment, get that purchase supplier in there. Okay, so now I can go back to my conflicts and to my quote and pull up my conflicts. And now again, in addition to just generically being able to make a purchase PO, it says, hey, you've said that you can purchase these for $600 a piece from Flex Rental Solutions. Now, it is important you see in this that it says /1 days. That's not per 1 days. That's saying that's my lead time that I'm expecting on that, okay? Now, again, that could be important if it's something you're expecting, oh, I need to buy it, but that's a company out of town, so there's gonna be some processing and some shipping, and so I know I need 7 days of headway. That's that important thing. So it's just important to remember that's communicating the lead time, not like a rental price, because that's a purchase, okay? So we can go ahead in the same way and just pop that guy open, and we'll see. Now, on this, there's one little problem that I always do when I do my examples, when I do my demos. I forgot to check in this, but it's a good thing kind of to highlight in this. But it didn't solve my problem here, okay? Now, the reason for that, it did create me a purchase PO. But because as always, I set this to go tomorrow, right? My quote is set to be prepped tomorrow, okay? So on my purchase PO, it said that it's going to show up by today at 9:16 a.m. Well, that's before now. And so it's like, well, you didn't actually receive those items yet, so it's not solving your issue. If I take this and we're just going to fix my time to say I'm expecting to get these by the end of day today, okay? Or maybe even I get, let's actually go to say we're going to get them tomorrow morning. I need to have, this is that key thing. I need to have it where I believe I'm going to receive the item before the show starts, but after today for it to actually solve my shortage. So now if I go back here and I force this to reload, that should be solving it for oh, no, that's fine. Rental back order. I need to check what that is coming. That understood it was defaulting to retail back order, saying I was buying it to go into my retail stock, not into my rental stock. So in this, it's understood it's going into my rental stock. Now, when I come back here and refresh, it will believe that's going to solve my shortage. Now on this, I could do the same thing and add my ultimate stands here. So I could say, oh, well, I also need to buy 4 of those. And we see here on this, because I didn't pre-put a supplier, it didn't put it, but it does say, hey, do you want to add it to that existing purchase PO? And I go, yeah, I do. So it's going to add that to that purchase PO. And again, and I think that's based on the default settings that we probably need to check. I needed to fix that. That again, it's trying to put it as retail back order, and that needs to be rental back order for that. So if you're having that issue, please reach out to support and we can assist in getting your default settings if you don't know where to fix them, so that it defaults to that rental back order. Now, honestly, I don't know if that's the most common thing for people. It's more common what you're instead going to be doing. Why did it suddenly break that? I went back to retail for some reason. What you're more commonly doing is going to be doing the sub rental. I expect that's going to be the much more common thing for people. Now, in this example, we can still go in here and pop up our conflicts to get the information to figure out, did we want to purchase it on that? Go, no, I'm not buying more mics right now. I don't have the budget for that, okay? Now, in here, I've got it set that I can rent it from Chris Stein, okay? And I have a price that I say I can rent that for, okay? I can look back to my conflicts to double check, oh, that other show is pulling them, and that's why I don't have any ability to transfer because it's taking all of my stock that I have in here. That's hurting my availability. I don't have any pending returns. But on this example, I want to bring up another tool. And this tool can be used for purchasing, for sub-rentals, for lots of things. But I want to make sure on this that I'm not just getting as the package kit, but that I'm getting to remind I need to get the receiver, the transmitter, the handheld. I potentially would have had the other details on here, but I've just kind of glossed over those. So I want to show that while you sometimes will use that conflict tool to bring up the information to help you make the decision. When I've made the decision that I want to rent this, if I know I want to rent all of these items, rather than individually clicking it and picking, and then on the next one saying, yes, add it to the existing rental, add it to the existing rental, etc., I can instead go to my logistics view and just say, hey, I know that on these, I want to sub-rent these from Chris Stein. Okay, I put those in there that I can do that. So what I can do is go select those items and come over to my modify and bulk edit. And now on this, it happens to work well on the quantity. Sometimes the quantities don't work well, but in this I say, yes, I'm wanting to rent 2 of all of those parts, and I want to rent them from Chris Stein. I can go ahead and say okay, and that's going to edit these columns for this. Now, it's important to note when I change those columns, that's just my prep for my plan. I haven't actually made the rental PO yet, okay? Once I've updated that, then I need to go over to my logistics, the little truck icon, and I need to ask it to update my sub-rental paperwork, okay? And it's gonna scan through the list of anything on these sub-rental quantity, sub-rental vendor, and create or update POs based on what information is there. Okay, on this one is the sub-rental. Note this back order would review the BO, the back order, which is for purchase POs, and the transfer location is for transfer paperwork. That's for if you're transferring from other locations. They all basically work the same. There's just 3 separate updates for each of them. There's 3 separate sets of columns in each of them. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say update sub-rental paperwork. It's going to scan that and say, okay, well, sub-rental paperwork has been generated for this quote. If we go back, oh, I got to refresh. Now I have a rental PO in addition to my purchase PO. On that rental PO, I can go here on this. Now, in the same way on here, this is important, like on our purchase PO, we need to make sure that our need by or our receive date of the rental is before my thing is supposed to go out the door, and that it's going to return after it comes back. Okay, now it should automatically make this for itself, but if you do any manually overriding or you're seeing any issues, that is good to review. Okay, in this, my show is saying it's going out at 3 p.m. tomorrow, coming back on the 12th at 2 p.m. And this is saying 9th at, this is saying 3 p.m., which may not cooperate on this. So I probably want to update this hours to 2, and that will be better on that. And then this one is the 13th, it's the whole day before. So by that, if I come back here, and now all of my problems are solved. Now I obviously still have to actually do the logistics of going and picking up my purchase, going and picking up my rental from these companies, doing those kind of things, but those are the tools that we kind of have to solve these issues. So those are the key things that I wanted to highlight. So thanks everyone for your time. If you have any additional need, feel free to reach out to support@flexrentalsolutions.com, training@flexrentalsolutions.com, or visit our help center at helpcenter.flexrentalsolutions.com. Thank you very much. Have a great day.